Have you ever walked down the pet food aisle and seen so many different foods and you weren't sure which one to pick? What about a dog with bad gas? What food do you use for that? Or itchy skin? Does your dog have hot spots and you're not quite sure which one to use to help with that? There's so many different issues and so many different options. It's very hard to pick. And today I'm going to help you figure out what is right for you. My name is Heather Gibson and I'm a certified pet nutrition coach, a certified animal aromatherapist, and a breeder that's been working with dogs for over a decade. Today we're going to talk about why pet food has changed so much and what you can do to make sure you get the right pet food for your pet. So one of the things that everybody talks about is food labels. And you probably already know that you want to see a meat as the first ingredient on your food label. But what you may not know is that you also have to look at the next several ingredients because pet food companies have gotten really smart. They try and trick us and they divide up the grains into several pieces so that it looks like protein is actually the first ingredient or the one that weighs the most. That's how ingredients are listed on the label, when really they put in corn gluten and then cornmeal and they divided it up so it won't be the top ingredient there. So when you're looking at the label, make sure you check for that. The other thing that is actually very shocking about pet foods is the fact that ingredient quality is not regulated. So you can have everything from human grade chicken to roadkill put into pet food. Yes, I did say roadkill. It's crazy the variety of quality that you'll have, and none of it's regulated. So you're probably wondering, well, what do I do? How do I know what pet food is right? It's tricky. One of the things I'm going to teach you today is to look for medical claims. On the back of bags, often they'll have what's called a medical claim, and that is regulated by the FDA. You've probably seen some of the examples are like Bright Minds or good for bone and tooth health. And what that means is when they put an ingredient or a medical claim like that on the front, it means that they had to put a certain amount, again, it doesn't say the quality, but a certain amount of an ingredient in order to make that medical claim. And those cost money. So a lot of times pet food companies will get together and decide on one medical claim they want, and they'll put it right in the middle of the pet food bag. So while you're walking down the aisle at the pet food store, it'll say Bright Minds or sensitive stomach or good for bone and tooth health. So often medical claims are used as an advertisement ploy. Now there's several that have more than one medical claim, but my favorite food has 9 medical claims on it, and that's why I use it. That and the results I see. So we were talking about not knowing the quality of the ingredient. The only way to tell the quality of the ingredient, unfortunately, is to look at your results. So over the last 10 plus years that I've been working with pets, I have to watch the results. So it's important to make sure that you're putting the investment, and yes, it's an investment, into a good quality pet food. It's going to save you in vet bills down the road, and it's also going to save your pet a lot of pain and give them extra years of the best kind of living that they can have. We're going to talk about one of the controversies, and it's corn. There's a lot of people out there that will argue that corn is a good source of protein. Well, first off, that doesn't make great sense to me. I mean, if I'm trying to gain weight as a person, I don't go eat corn. My son, who's an athlete, doesn't eat corn to gain muscle, to have that protein. We go to meat sources. So the problem with corn is that it's not usually human grade corn even. It's feed grade corn. So think about pigs and cows and what we feed them, but sometimes it's even worse than that. So it's decaying, it's covered in gross worms, it's got all kinds of issues, and it grows mold. So the mold that it grows produces a toxin, and there was actually a major recall that happened where over 100 dogs died because of the toxin from the mold. Now, if 100 dogs are reported as dying, you have to remember that there's hundreds and hundreds of dogs out there that probably also got sick and more that died, but were not linked to that particular issue. So corn is something that is just too dangerous, in my opinion, to put in pet food because of the way that it's used and processed, and it's not a good source of protein, in my opinion. There's much better, safer sources of protein to use instead. Let's talk about another controversy: grain-free pet food. This has been in the news a lot lately, and my vet still has flyers up saying that grain-free is something that will give your dog dilated cardiomyopathy. So the whole controversy of this came out about 2 years ago when the FDA came out and said they were investigating grain-free and dilated cardiomyopathy, and they thought there might be a link. Well, it hit the news big time. Everyone heard about it. They've done a lot of research to see if they could link grain-free dog food to heart issues. All the research that's come out has not proven a link between the two, but you'll still see vets warning against it. As far as the link there, that's been debunked, and I will put several articles in the comments below so that you can see some of the research studies that have shown that there isn't a link. They're still working on figuring out what causes dilated cardiomyopathy, and I do believe using a quality food will make a difference in that for your pet. So a lot of people ask me about raw, and doesn't it sound wonderful to cook for the pet that you love so much and create their own meal every day? It sounds amazing. I also hear a lot of people say, well, that's what they ate in the wild. Now, whenever anyone says that's what they ate in the wild, I want you to go find a coyote that lives in the wild and see if you want your dog to look like that coyote. Usually they're severely malnourished and they have some issues, because the truth is you cannot feed your dog just raw meat. Bone, organs, and meat aren't enough. They need some more micronutrients, macronutrients that are not found in those three to have the longest, healthiest life that they can have. And so when you're looking at raw diet, you have to be very careful. If you're cooking it on your own, chances are you aren't doing it right, unfortunately. So my recommendation is, if you're going to go with raw, you go with a freeze-dried, full balanced meal. So there's some that are only made as toppers. They're not meant to be a full meal. And then you'll have some freeze-dried raw that is meant to be a full and balanced diet. So you're gonna wanna make sure you check the label to make sure it says full and balanced diet on it. The reason I recommend freeze-dried raw is because it has a kill step where it kills the salmonella and the E. coli in the food. And the reason why that's great is, well, if you've ever had food poisoning, you know how horrible it is to have that. If you're not going to do raw and do it right, my recommendation is to use kibble and do some toppers. So in my mind, you have raw done right is the best. Remember, if it's not done right, it's worse than the worst kibble. Then you have kibble with some added toppers on it. And then the least I would recommend is a very high quality kibble. So that's the very least that I would do. And then you have some variations there that you can play with. So what can you use as toppers? Well, you could use freeze-dried raw food as toppers on top of the kibble. Also pumpkin, pure pumpkin, makes a great topper on top of food. A lot of times I'll get the canned pure pumpkin, not the pumpkin pie, and put a little bit of, about a tablespoon per 10 pounds on top of my kibble. Great for the digestive system. It really helps with some extra nutrients as well. Another great topper for food is some of those fruits that are safe. Remember, grape and raisins are toxic to dogs, so you're not going to want to use those. But a little bit of apples, blueberries, those kinds of things can make a great additional topper on top of the food, as well as vegetables. Now, if you want the dog to get the full benefit of the vegetables, you'll probably want to grind them up some. A dog eats a carrot, chunk it down, and it's just going to come out the other end. So if you shred it, puree it, and put it on top, that's going to be a little bit more nutritional value, probably a lot more nutritional value than just putting that whole piece there, although they do love that too. So those are a couple options that you can put. Gently cooked meat a little bit on the top can be a great topper too. So those are some of the ideas for toppers for kibble. If you're liking what you're hearing right now, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you'll be updated next time I post stuff, including I'll be doing a video and showing you how I do my toppers on the food. Now, every dog is different. It's so unique, even in the breed and down to the line of dogs. So their parents and their ancestry, genetics plays a big part into allergens. And you'll have everything from food intolerances to full-on allergies. And how you can tell if a pet has some kind of a food intolerance or an allergy usually is in their poop. So if you're getting loose poop a lot, you do want to check for parasites. But if it's not parasites and they're having an upset stomach, loose poop, they're having a lot more gas. Sometimes it comes out in hot spots and itchy spots, scratching themselves or licking themselves a lot. That could be an indication of a food intolerance or an allergy. Some of the very common intolerances are corn, wheat, soy. That's why I recommend using a pet food without any of those ingredients in it. Also, a lot of dogs are allergic to chicken or turkey, so poultry. And so it's a good idea to maybe try a different recipe with a different protein source in it if you're starting to see those issues. With chicken, sometimes they'll put it in later, so you want to read all the ingredients and make sure there's no chicken or no turkey in it if you're kind of doing what we call an elimination diet, where you take out certain ingredients and see if it makes a difference for your pet. A lot of times, just changing to a high quality kibble, even with the same ingredients, is going to make a difference because of what we talked about earlier with the quality of the ingredients. Now, what about supplements? What other supplements are there out there? Again, if you're at the pet store, you will be inundated with lots of different supplements. My favorite supplement is salmon oil, and I like a very high quality salmon oil. Couple tips for this. Salmon oil does start to go bad as soon as it hits the air. So you're gonna want a salmon oil that comes in a bottle with a pump on it so that it never is exposed to the air until it goes onto the food. Also, you'll want one with a high ratio of omegas, and you have your DHA and your EHA, and you want to see a good ratio between those two. I really love one with a good ratio of 15 omega-3, 6, and 9s in it. And then again, you have to watch for how it affects your pet. You should see a shiny, healthier coat, less shedding. It actually helps brain, heart, as well as coat. So there's a lot of things that good salmon oil can help with that you're going to kind of want to watch and see what kind of results you get in order to know that it's a good one. Another supplement that I love is CBD. So there's a lot of confusion about CBD. They wonder if it's, marijuana, if it's got the THC in it so that your dog will be having a hallucinogenic effect. But no, it's not. It doesn't have any THC in it. And it is amazing for so many systems of your dog's body. So it helps with the endocannabinoid system. I know that's a big word, endocannabinoid system. And the endocannabinoid system kind of helps regulate all the other systems. So it can help with digestion, with mental health, and of course it helps with anxiety. A lot of people know that CBD is kind of linked to anxiety. And so it's a great option for that as well. Now, if you're using it for anxiety, you do want to use it about 30 minutes before whatever event is going to cause them the anxiety, so it has time to kick in. Because once the system has hit that fight or flight alert system and the pet is worried, then it's harder for the CBD to work. So you do want to use it before they hit that fight or flight stage so that they can have the better results with it. So you're probably wondering, after all this information, how do I find the right food still? I'm going to include my recommendations down in the link below so that you know what I'm using. I'll include the food that has the 8 medical claims that I love, I've seen results with for over 7 years, as well as the freeze-dried raw that I recommend, a great CBD option, and salmon oil. There'll also be a link if you're confused about what to do still. We'll set you up with a free 15-minute consultation with someone that can help you figure out what food would be best for you. Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you found it helpful, make sure that you like and subscribe so that you see all of our content. And make sure you watch out for that video where we're going to be showing you how I do food toppers on top of my kibble. And we'll see you next time.